one line that we had that was really interesting. It was when Erwin and Levi were talking to each other. Erwin was talking to Levi and saying, "After me is Hanji, and after Hanji." And I assumed for it to be you, but it never finished. The sentence never completed.
I feel like it would have to be whoever was like the other leader that had been in the longest.
Yeah.
Because obviously we just were. When we were all sitting around in a circle, I was like,
the next.
I was like, who are these other people?
Yeah.
You know, before it was told to us that these were the other squad leaders, I was like, who are these people?
Yeah,
I don't recognize you guys.
After just thinking about it for a second, I think it was just my anime, I love Levi, want him to be in charge mind, and not realistic, which is, and then the next, whoever the next in line is. It would be
It'd probably be experience.
Yeah, for sure. Information available for public disclosure. Meet. After the fall of Wall Maria, there was a dramatic decrease in food production. Livestock, in particular, suffered due to requiring plentiful land. As a result, meat became expensive, and occasions to eat it are scarce.
It makes me think of when we first see Eren and Mikasa. They're in a field, a big field, and I'm sure there's a lot of cattle and stuff around.
Makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. That's also the biggest enclosure is within that wall.
Yeah. Interesting. Makes me look at Sasha a little bit differently.
I understand why she got so she was savage there, because if she hasn't been having meat for months, it makes sense that she would act like that.
I like how Marlowe's just been living this prestigious meat in every meal life that he's what's the big deal?
Yeah. I'm wary of his character. It's here we have this kind of steady group of characters that have been friends from the beginning, and now Marlowe's a scout on the same ranks as them. I know he's not the same ranks, he's a recruit, but he's in the friend group now.
Yeah. And
he's sitting with them when they're eating, and I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do with this character? What are we gonna use him for? Are we gonna have our recruits, they're not even recruits anymore, our squad Levi, protect this new recruit that they've welcomed into their friend group? Because he is he was described as a character like Eren. And so that leads me to believe that in the face of a dire situation, he would possibly be he would sacrifice himself and or charge in like Eren would. And it could open up the possibility of one of our steady characters that we have come to love trying to protect him. I don't think he's, as John describes, a suicidal bastard like Eren is. I think he's possibly a little more easily shaken than maybe Eren is. I remember when Levi, that interaction when John and Levi and everyone caught Marlowe and Hitch in the woods. Marlowe was definite, but then again, he was looking at Captain Levi, who he respected. So it makes sense why he would kind of calm down and be humbled and accept his fate.
I hope we'll see his first reaction to a Titan.
I think we will. I mean, honestly, I'm curious to see it. I'm nervous to see it, but everyone else that we have followed has killed a Titan now. Some of them have even killed people. So Marlowe, he's new meat. He's fresh meat.
Yeah.
And that is worrisome. As Jean said, he just needs to stay back and he needs to watch and he needs to learn and he needs to take notes basically so he can come back in one piece. And then next time, they didn't really get that.
No.
None of our characters got the chance to ease into this at all.
No. Thrown into the pool. Couldn't
Honestly.
swim. I'm glad that we actually saw Bertholdt running or riding away after being the Colossal Titan. That's something that I've wanted to have just see it, because I was I didn't see anybody running away,
And they layered it with one of my favorite lines of his. I just think it's it's such amazing dialogue to have him be I thought ... I felt sorry for you. Because it could just be him saying, I felt sorry for you. But there's added layers when you add in what's added in before. I thought because that's also past tense. It doesn't necessarily mean that's how he feels now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's a really interesting phrase, and I'm really glad that it came back.
I feel scared, and I feel like we're going to lose someone. We had so much fun.
And okay, it was really freaking hilarious that Jean and Aaron were like, why is no one stopping us?
Dude, it's so odd that
So
two
good.
anime characters fist fighting each other brings me such like calmness and peace.
It
like,
felt like it was okay. I never once was like, oh no, they're gonna beat each other to a pulp. Like I was like, this is good for them.
It felt so nostalgic. Like it felt like
It felt healthy.
Yeah,
Which is so weird. Violence
I can't believe it's only
healthy.
been 4 months, dude. Holy, like all this has happened in 4 months.
And they were all drawn to look younger.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was just how I felt when I looked at it, but obviously their faces when they're looking at a Titan or fighting are hardened, and they almost look like they've aged a few years.
Yeah.
And in this scene when they're all sitting and eating, and then Mikasa, Armin, and Aaron on the stairs, you know, they look so young. Their faces look so soft. They look so at peace. And it's crazy to see that kind of change. And it's really nice and also terrifying.
I can't believe, like, it felt so cool to have, like, the full circle of them just in an alley again, like, talking like this. Aaron had a couple of lines that I almost, like, I almost took, like, as, like, a dig to Armin, which is why we've all got to find the things we can do. Mikasa has her thing. I have my thing. And then just, like, looks at Armin, like, in a funny way. But it leads me to think, like, I wonder if Armin's gonna have, like a significant push or, like, something that he brings to the table going
We know
forward.
he's brilliant.
Yeah.
We know he's brilliant. We know he's willing to do what he needs to do. We know he's brave. There's a lot of great characteristics that Armin has. And I think that, and he's also like very observant and really well aware. And I think his ability to think of tactics or to think of psychology of how people are going to act or how they truly feel. I think he's just very, very aware and very perceptive. And I could see great potential for him to be a strategist and high up in their ranks.
I agree. How many in the way that I said that it felt like an end of like a series almost. We had so many flashbacks, like or not flashbacks, just like things that are being brought up, parallels.
Literally, like even the first episode or the first couple episodes.
And
of
I think
season 1.
episode 5 is when we got the pictures of the book from the outside.
Yeah?
Yeah. Episode 5, I have a legal book from outside world, quote unquote.
Yeah, and Armin ran over and was showing Aaron like by the water.
Yeah.
And here we have Aaron basically, we're learning here that he doesn't necessarily believe that what was in that book is actually real outside of the walls.
Which is fair. I don't know. Like, it's so interesting how we got, I don't know, like how we got the beginning of the season. Like, Aaron, like, on a beach. Mm-hmm. And when is that?
Yeah.
Like, how
who
far?
knows?
Dude, Aaron looks straight pissed that Armin's talking about there's more than just Titans outside the walls, doesn't he?
It's like, I don't know. Is he looking at Armin like, ugh, Armin's a dreamer. He's gonna get himself in trouble or killed if he talks like that. Or, like, it's judgment. I'm not really sure exactly what it is. I know that I don't think Aaron necessarily believes any of it. But I don't know if I can read too much into that expression or if it's just meant to be a plain face.
Yeah.
Because then it softens when he turns, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think he's being judgmental. I think he's more like, okay, yeah, sure, maybe. Like, a piece of him, I think he hopes that Armin is right in this dream. That there are these fiery water.
It's so interesting, though, because, like look at this agreed, like, I'm probably just, like, looking too much into it, but the only reason I am is because of what comes after this. Like, there's more than just Titans outside the wall, that weird expression, whatever. And then Aaron says, fiery water, lands of ice, sandy snowfields. I joined the scouts so I could see all of that. And then Aaron's like, yeah, you sure did. And then look at Armin. Like, what is he realizing
What
here?
is this? Yeah,
He just realized something. What, that he's never gonna, like, that it's a pipe dream? Or, like, because it doesn't seem that simple.
Maybe it's more connected to the reason he joined. Like,
it's like, and then he's like...
part of the reason he joined really, I think it's somewhat a lie. I think, yes, he wants to see all those things, but I think that he really did join because of Aaron.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But in this situation, it almost gives me the vibe of him, like, putting on an act. Like, it seems like he realized something and then was like, okay, I'll snap back to, like, normal, cheery. Let's start by seeing the sea.
Right, which I think could connect to the possibility that Aaron realizes that his friends joined because of him.
And Armin's trying
and
to
it's a sore subject. And
That's
Armin
true.
wants him to believe that it's Armin's dream to do this.
Yeah.
And that Aaron isn't dragging him down or making him risk his life. Obviously, Mikasa's going to be up front. She'd be like, yeah, I joined for Aaron, you know?
Yeah,
but
you're right.
Armin has never specifically said that he joined to protect Aaron or to stay beside Aaron.
It's funny thinking Levi's listening to all of this and then being like, and having no context about there being, like, an outside world with, like, deserts and, like, oceans, stuff like that.
He never saw the book. He never saw the book.
Yeah, I'm like, Levi's probably like, these fucking idiots. They have no idea. They're listening to fairy tales. Like, they have no idea what they're talking about.
I don't know. I think he'd be open. I think Levi is, I think deep down he is curious and I think he's open or believes that things are bigger, deeper, wider than they seem and than what he's seen. Because if you think about it, he grew up in the underground and then he came above and he saw this wide world with an open sky.
Yeah.
If anyone would be perceptive to the idea of beautiful things outside the walls, it would be Levi.
Definitely. I meant it in, like, a jokingly, like, he's probably like, what are they even on about?
Oh, okay.
But in, like, a serious note, you're exactly right. And his expression, if we saw his expression to the sky, imagine what it would be to, like, the wonders of the world.
He probably would wish that Ferlin and Isabel could see them.
You made me cry.
I gotta say, though, for those characters, at least they got to be above. At least they got to be out of the underground. Wish they didn't have to die, but at least they got to be out there and breathe that air all together.
The Han scene killed me, man.
I did not appreciate.
I appreciated it, but
I meant, like, my heart didn't appreciate it.
You know,
This was a very great tie-up for a part or a season. If I think about it, like, pretend you were going to be waiting for the next season to come out live, you know? This was a good place to stop.
Agreed.
You know, before waiting.
But if you've watched the video that we put out before this, we're not looking or watching the after credit scene. What the fuck could that be? Like, we ended seeing...
What could it be if we started the show hearing, like, seagulls, basically, and Aaron on a beach?
Yeah.
You know? What could be this mystical after credit that might be a major spoiler for us? Because I already feel like I'm guessing that Aaron's going to get to the beach at some point.
Exactly.
Is it confirmation? Because I'm pretty sure in that beginning credit, it doesn't show us the water. It's just that we hear the sounds of the beach with his face.
But I mean, I feel like that wouldn't be too much of a don't watch this contention point.
But it'd be like confirmation. Like, remember how I said about the after credit with the wall falling apart? How I thought maybe it was just symbolic and not necessarily literal?
Yeah.
Possibly. That could be thought of as the same thing. Like, it's just symbolic of Aaron being outside of the walls and...
But we already had the first part of that. Because in my mind, I'm like, oh shit, this is like the perfect way to, like, wrap up, like, the loose ends we needed to, and to tie it all in thematically for the next part of this series. But I'm sitting in a chair where I'm going to watch this episode next week. I'm not waiting years.
We're not waiting.
Whatever's
in the after credit, we might find out next episode.
But we won't know. I am so curious.
Did we make the right decision? Well, even if we didn't, if we did or we didn't, and we find out later on what the after credit was, at least we will be able to add to the conversation and the debate about watching this after credit. We will have our own perspective and our own hindsight reasons to watch it or not to watch it, and that will make for good discussion, I think, of the benefits of watching it or pros and cons. You know, either way, we'll have insight on that and we'll be able to talk on it.
If I'm I'm definitely just trying to make up theories here, but because there's no way that this show would ever have gotten canceled because of how amazing it is. But if I'm thinking about it from a production standpoint, it'd be like, okay, I could see a studio trying to end the story here because it wraps everything up so well for this chapter, for lack of a better term. Let's make it so there's so much hype for next season by showing a piece of it so that there's no chance that that people can't wait for it.
Like, I obviously, when I said that I like when seasons wrap up nicely, I meant that in terms of when I'm watching shows that have been out forever and like I'm not waiting on it. If I'm waiting on a show, then I want it to end in a very hype way, you know? But if it's already 3 seasons on Crunchyroll and it came out 10 years ago, you know, I know that they didn't get another season, then I want it to end in a nice way.
In my mind, it has to be something that we would see later, like next season. But it has to be something that we'd see next season that we'd be able to make assumptions based off of that. And obviously not knowing what it is, I don't know if I'd like that or not. And just not knowing if I would or not is infuriating.
This is honestly going to drive us crazy. Yeah. I mean, like, we have been debating this ourselves of whether to watch it or not.
Since we heard that there was contention about it.
Since we heard that there was any amount of debate about it. We have been discussing. And it's hard to discuss things with such limited knowledge about what you're discussing.
And then I'm like, okay, even if it is something that I could have watched and not gotten anything negatively affecting my experience out of, knowing that that it's a debate would almost affect my viewing of that and how I would think about it. So it's like they're like,
I find it both intriguing and enticing and terrifying.
Me too.
To think about what that after credit is, because it's almost like I feel like I might be enticed to watch it out of pure curiosity and excitement, but I feel like it's almost like what I said earlier in the discussion about, is it a waste to use the syringe on Aaron? It's almost like I feel like if I gave in to the curiosity and how enticing the after credit might be, would it be a waste of what could come in my enjoyment of the show and my theories? And I don't know.
Okay,
it's a roller coaster.
I have one question before we end it. If you had to make a guess right now of knowing what we know, if Grisha ate a person with the ability to turn into Titans and showed up at the walls, or he already had the ability to turn the power of the Titans and then somehow got to the gate with that power, or the walls with that power.
So he either was born with the power or he ate someone?
No, he either already had the power. It doesn't matter how he had gotten it.
Before he got to the walls, he already had the power.
Yeah.
Or
he was a Titan wandering and ate somebody who had the power.
I feel like he already had it, because it seems too much of a coincidence for him to have appeared with clothes on in human form right in front of the scout that found him.
I would probably agree, which is even more like telling that it could have been a mission.
Well, then again, they're not turned into a Titan like naked. Did Ymir have clothes on when she came out of it?
I don't think Ymir did, but I think Eren did.
Okay. Or that was just a visual for us that she was naked. Okay, well, it could have been that he ate someone, but it just seemed way too. How is it that he ate someone that had the power of the Titans right before that scout found him? You know?
Yeah.
Seems a little bit too much of a coincidence if that was the case.
Agreed-ish. I don't know anymore.
Agreed-ish?
You good?
Yeah. This was a hard one, guys.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I can't wait for next time.
We will see you next time.
See ya.
I never once was like, oh no, they're gonna beat each other to a pulp. I never once was like, oh no, they're gonna beat each other to a pulp. They're gonna beat each other to a pulp.
They're gonna beat each other to a pulp.